My wife was acting suspicious, so I followed her. What I discovered changed everything. It all started a few months ago when my wife, Anna, began acting distant. At first, I thought it was just stress from her new job. But then, little things started adding up. She started staying late at work more often than usual and would keep her phone close to her at all times. She even changed her phone password, something we never used to have between us. When I asked her why, she brushed it off with, "It's just work stuff." Her best friend, Laura, who used to be bubbly and talkative with me, also became distant. Whenever we were all together, Laura would barely make eye contact with me, and sometimes she'd awkwardly excuse herself. One evening, during a dinner we hosted, I caught Laura glancing at me nervously when Anna wasn't looking. That night, I felt something was seriously off. It wasn't just paranoia. Something had definitely changed between all of us. Anna also started dressing differently. She wore makeup and nice outfits to work but come home in sweatpants, barely saying a word. I tried to connect with her, planned dates, cooked dinner, talked, but she always seemed tired or distracted. We used to be best friends, not just spouses. I missed that. Then one night, I overheard her whispering on the phone in the bathroom. I couldn't hear much, but I caught her saying, "He doesn't know anything." My heart sank. I wanted to believe it wasn't what I thought, but her behavior, that phone call, were impossible to ignore. I decided not to confront her immediately. Instead, I started paying attention. I checked our shared calendar and noticed some events she'd marked, client meeting, late work, never matched what she said when I casually brought them up later. She was lying, and every time I saw Laura, she acted more and more uncomfortable. So I started digging. I checked Anna's location history on our shared iPad. Something she forgot was still linked. I discovered that on the night she claimed to be working late, she wasn't at her office, she was somewhere else. One of those places. A bar on the other side of town. And once, it was Laura's apartment. My stomach turned. What was she doing there? Why lie about it? I knew I needed to find out the truth before this tore me apart. That weekend, I told Anna I had to visit my parents out of town. Instead, I stayed in a hotel not far from our house. I watched her leave that evening, dressed up like she was going on a date, not to meet clients. I followed her, heart pounding. She drove straight to Laura's apartment. I waited outside for a bit, then walked by the building pretending to be on the phone. Through the window, I saw them, Anna and Laura, talking closely, sitting way too close. They weren't just having coffee. Their body language was intimate, secretive. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but Laura reached out and held Anna's hand across the table. My breath caught in my throat. This wasn't just a friendly visit. I left without being seen, my mind racing with questions I didn't know how to ask. That night, I didn't sleep. I just kept replaying everything, how we got here, when things started to go wrong, and what I had to do now. The next morning, I went home before Anna got back. When she arrived, she acted like nothing had happened. I wanted to scream, but I kept my cool. I needed more than suspicion, I needed proof. Over the next few days, I checked her phone when she was in the shower. She had deleted most messages, but missed one photo in her gallery, a selfie of her and Laura on Laura's couch holding glasses of wine. The timestamp matched one of her work late nights. I printed the photo and kept it hidden. That weekend, I invited Laura over for a small barbecue, pretending everything was fine. I wanted to see how she would act around both of us together. The tension was thick. Laura barely said anything and avoided my gaze completely. Anna was overly cheerful, almost like she was trying to distract from the elephant in the room. I watched their every interaction, stolen glances, private smiles. They thought I was clueless. That night, I finally confronted Anna. I told her I knew about the lies, the locations, the photo. Her face went pale. She tried to deny it at first, but when I mentioned Laura's apartment, her eyes widened in shock. "How do you know that?" she asked. I didn't answer. The silence spoke volumes. She broke down and admitted she'd been spending more time with Laura because she was confused and felt emotionally distant from me. But it wasn't just emotional. She confessed they had kissed a few times, claiming it didn't mean anything. But her voice shook as she said it. I didn't believe her. You don't sneak around, lie to your spouse, and delete messages over a meaningless kiss. I asked her if it had gone further. She hesitated too long before saying no. That pause told me everything I needed to know. My heart felt like it had been stepped on. I wasn't angry, I was numb. I asked her if she wanted to be with Laura. She didn't answer right away, then said she didn't know what she wanted. That crushed me even more. After years of building a life together, I had become an option she wasn't sure about. She said she needed space to think. I told her to take all the space she needed outside our home. I packed a bag for her and told her to stay with Laura if that's who she was turning to. Default text left crying, and I was left standing in the silence of our living room, feeling like everything I'd known was a lie. Over the next week, I tried to process what had happened. Friends started asking questions, and I told them we were taking time apart. I didn't know what the future looked like. Then, I got a message from Laura. She asked if we could talk alone. I agreed out of pure curiosity. She came over, nervous, holding back tears. Laura said she never meant for things to go this far. She admitted that her feelings for Anna had grown over time, but she hadn't expected Anna to respond. When I asked if they were in a relationship now, she shook her head. She's confused, but she doesn't love me, Laura said. She loves you. She's just lost. I didn't know if I could believe her. But something about Laura's guilt felt real. It didn't change what they had done, but it showed me they weren't proud of it. I thanked Laura for her honesty, even though it brought no comfort. I was still alone, still betrayed. A few days later, Anna texted saying she wanted to come home and talk. I told her we could meet in public. We met at a park bench where we used to sit during better days. She cried the entire time, saying she made a mistake, that she still loved me, that she wanted to work it out. But I didn't know if I had anything left to give her. I asked her why she did it, why she didn't just talk to me if something was missing. She said she felt disconnected, like we'd become roommates instead of lovers, and Laura just listened. That hurt in a different way. I always thought I was present, attentive, available. But maybe I wasn't in the way she needed. Still, betrayal isn't communication. I told her I didn't hate her, but I couldn't trust her right now. Anna moved in with her sister after that. We texted occasionally, mostly about bills and shared logistics, but every message felt like a reminder of what we lost. People say time heals, but it doesn't. It just teaches you how to live with the scar. About a month later, she asked to meet again. This time, I said no. I needed space for myself now. I didn't want to be someone's second choice, someone who waited around while they figured things out. I started going to therapy not because I was broken, but because I didn't want to become bitter. My therapist helped me unpack years of emotional neglect I hadn't even realized I experienced. Turns out, love isn't supposed to feel like constant self-sacrifice. It's supposed to feel safe. And I hadn't felt safe in a long time, even before the cheating. Anna was just the tipping point, not the whole problem. One afternoon, I ran into Laura again. She looked worn out, like the whole thing had drained her too. She said Anna wasn't speaking to her anymore. She blamed me, Laura said. But I didn't force her to do anything. I believed her. For all her flaws, Laura had been honest in the end. And yet, I still walked away, because closure doesn't come from more conversations. It comes from acceptance. And I was learning to accept that some stories don't have happy endings. Months passed. I moved to a new apartment, repainted the walls, rearranged my life. I adopted a dog, something Anna and I always talked about but never did. I started hiking again, reconnecting with friends, even smiling more. Healing wasn't linear, but it was happening. Then one day, I got a letter from Anna. A real, handwritten letter. It was pages long. She talked about everything, her regrets, her confusion, her hopes that maybe, someday, I could forgive her. I sat with that letter for hours. I read it 3 times, each time slower than the last. She didn't beg me to come back. She didn't blame me or try to rewrite what happened. She simply took responsibility. That meant something. But it didn't change what I felt. Forgiveness and reconciliation aren't the same thing. I could forgive her in my heart without letting her back into my life. And I realized that's what I needed to do. The next weekend, I wrote her back. I told her I appreciated the honesty, that I hoped she found peace. But I also told her I wasn't coming back, that I was finally starting to feel like me again. And I didn't want to risk losing that progress. She replied once more, a simple "I understand. Thank you for everything." And that was it. That chapter of my life had finally ended, not with anger or bitterness, but with a full stop. Now, when people ask me about Anna, I don't flinch. I don't shrink. I just say, we loved each other once. But not all love is meant to last. Some stories are meant to teach you, not stay with you. And Anna's story taught me what I deserve, what love should look like, what self-worth really feels like when you're no longer trying to prove it to someone else. I'm not broken. I'm not bitter. I'm just free. Looking back, the signs were there. The emotional distance, the evasive glances, the secrets between smiles. I ignored them because I didn't want to see the truth. But now, I value honesty more than comfort. I'd rather be alone with truth than partnered with lies. That lesson came at a cost, but it was worth it. I wouldn't trade it back. I wouldn't trade me back for anyone. Today, I live in quiet peace. I go for morning runs, I read in silence, I eat breakfast on the balcony while watching the sunrise. Sometimes, I think about Anna not with regret, but with gratitude. Because her betrayal forced me to find myself again, to rebuild, to love myself in ways I had forgotten. And if that's the ending, I'll take it. Because healing isn't about going back, it's about becoming someone better than who you were before the hurt. Eventually, I started dating again, but slowly, carefully. I didn't look for someone to complete me. I looked for someone to walk beside me. I met Emma at a bookstore. She wasn't flashy or overly charming, just real, kind, grounded. We talked for hours about everything from favorite novels to the philosophy of trust. I told her about Anna, not to bring baggage, but to show her who I'd become. And she didn't flinch. With Emma, everything felt different. There were no secrets, no strange phone habits, no lingering doubts. It was the kind of relationship that made me realize love shouldn't feel like survival. It should feel like home. We moved in together after a year, no rush. No pressure. Just two people who respected each other's healing. She taught me that true love isn't fireworks, it's warmth. Steady, dependable warmth. One rainy evening, Emma told me something I'll never forget. I don't want to be your whole world, I just want to be someone who never makes you feel alone in it. That sentence healed something in me that I didn't know was still broken. For the first time in a long time, I wasn't scared of losing love. I was just grateful to have found a version of it that didn't hurt. Default texties sometimes wonder what would have happened if I hadn't confronted Anna. If I had just let things slide. But then I remember the emptiness I felt back then, the confusion, the lies. That confrontation didn't break us. The silence did. So now I speak up. I ask the hard questions. I listen to my instincts. And because of that, I'm living a life that finally feels honest and whole. So here's what I learned. If someone is acting suspicious, trust isn't about waiting to catch them, it's about listening to your gut. Relationships should be a sanctuary, not a guessing game. And if you find yourself in a story like mine, know that walking away isn't weakness. Sometimes, it's the bravest thing you can do, because healing begins the moment you choose you.